Shavuos, 1987, it was said last night, and remembering that Erev Shavuos was the time that the Yidden said Nasa, and then they said Nishma. When the Yidden prefaced and said Nasa, we will do, before saying we will hear, so 600,000 malachim came to every single Yid, the cultural and based Sadim, and they bound upon them two crowns, Nishma, one crown corresponding to Nasa, and another crown corresponding to Nishma. Sorry, we need to understand. The from the beginning of the matter, it seems to indicate the reason why the crowns were given. It's because they said Nasa before Nishma. Milas in Yinzel, like in the continuation over there in the Gemara in Second Shabbos, where it talks about the entire sugi of Matan Torah. It says, what is the great advantage of the Akdomas Nasal Nishma, of prefacing and saying Nasa before Nishma? The B'derech Klal Seder Ul Hepech. Ordinarily, the order is different. First you hear, first you need to know what the commands are, or on a deeper level, not just hearing, but understanding. That's the idea of Nishma. And then, once you understand, you do. So how come? What led the Yidden to do such an unbelievable type of thing? Because the simplicity and sincerity of the straight ones, that led them. So like, it was like, almost like above nature. It wasn't something that was like normal. It was like a very simple and pure. It was a purity of the Yidden that led them to say Nasa before Nishma. That's why the Yidden said Nasa before Nishma. So if the entire idea why they earned this unbelievable reward of the two ksar was because they said Nasa before Nishma, so the came Maush Messiah. Why does the Maimon Chazal conclude that they tied onto their heads two crowns? Echad Keneged Nasa, Echad Keneged Nishma, one corresponding to Nasa and one corresponding to Nishma, but nothing is said about the main thing that triggered all of this. They said Nasa before Nishma. They were not given a reward for saying Nasa Nishma, which is really what the Gemara says was amazing and so on. The Gemara in the Gemara in Second Shabbos, where it speaks the whole sugi Matan Torah, it's explicit. Shahayu beis ksarim mishas Matan Torah. There were two crowns during Matan Torah. Now the Rebbe is going to bring it from a totally different idea that we've already learned. Let's say in Parshas Kedoshim, that we know that there are three crowns in general. It seems to be not connected with Matan Torah, but the Rebbe is going to talk about those three crowns that we know about. They are also having to do with Matan Torah. I'm sorry?
You need a very big head for so many starim.
They're not wearing it all. You'll soon see what happens with the rest of the crown. The Medrash Masha Medrash, it seems to indicate, oh, you're right, they had to have a big head to be able to wear the two crowns. But the Matan Torah kosher and Gimel Ksar Matan Torah is connected with three crowns. Kedisu a Medrash al Pasuk Kedoshim Tiyu, like it's brought down the Medrash on the Pasuk Kedoshim Tiyu, Ki Kadosh Ani, Ki Ani Hashem Kadishchem. We had the Maimorim about this on Parshas Kedoshim. Each Kadosh that the Malachim said created another crown. This is a metaphor. You can understand this from the people of a country that made three crowns for the king. Melech, what did the king do? He had the problem you said. Not enough room on the head to wear three crowns. So he put one crown on his head. And so two he placed in the heads of his children. So too the ones above coronate Hashem 3 times saying Kaddish. I was saying davening that the Malachim say Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish. What does Hashem do? He puts one in his head, and 2 he placed on the heads of his children. Even though seemingly that Maimer Chazal doesn't seem to explicitly have anything to do with Matan Torah, but in other Amar Chassidus, it's explained that really this is also connected. It's brought down Amar Alter Rebbe and further Amar other Rebbeim that the Indian Zeh kosher Matan Torah, that this is connected with Matan Torah. Before Badrushman, it's explained in those Mamarim that it's not a machloikis. It's not. Some say there were 3 crowns. Some say there were 2 crowns. No. Each one is saying something else and something different that they're talking about. Each one complements the other. They're not meant to dispute each other. So now, let's look at the events. There's the events in the Gemara and Shabbos, and the events of the Medrash and Parshas Kedoshim. Seemingly, the cast of characters and who did what seems to be a little bit different. Though in the Gemara it's talking about, first of all, it's talking about crowns, that because the Yidden said Nasit and Ishma, so 600,000 Malachim came and gave the Yidden the crowns. So where are the crowns? Who's the ones that's placing the crowns on the Yidden? The Malachim. But in the Medrash it's talking about, where it talks about that the countrymen made the king crowns. Who placed the crowns on the children's head, on the Yidden's head? It's Hashem. And also V'nosan Echad Baroisha. And he put one on his head. So seemingly these are 2 distinct ideas. Why are we mixing them together? So the Rebbe says, also according to the Medrash, that the Eibishter placed the crowns on the Yidden's head. Still in all, the crowns are connected with the Malachim. Because who were the ones that made the crowns? Because the 3 crowns in the Medrash were made through the Malachim. Like the Medrash expressed it, that the ones above are the ones that coronate the Eibishter. But once they made the crowns, so now Hashem intervened in the case of the Medrash. From these 3 crowns, in the from the 3 crowns that the Malachim made for him, so 1 crown they to place on his own head, and 2 he placed on his children's head. If we don't go in the Mamar Chassidus and the Pnimius Torah part, in the simple sense, the 2 ideas that are occurring in the Gemara Masechtas Shabbos and in the Medrash and Parshas Kedoshim are 2 distinct matters. The Gemara is talking about when the Eden said Nasa before Nishma, Malachim came down and gave crowns to the Eden. Medrash when the Medrash is talking about crowns that Hashem gave. 2 crowns for the Eden and 1 on his head. And in addition to this, another thing that we find that in the Medrash it's different than the Gemara, that Shekol Gimel Sadim Nasai didn't have Bnei Medina. All the 3 crowns were made through the countrymen, whereas in the case of Masechtas Shabbos, it doesn't talk about the countrymen making any crowns. It says the Yidden said Nasa before Nishma, so the Malachim came down and gave them crowns. The Rebbe says, even though they seem to be distinct and separate, since both these and those are the words of the living God, movement, as that's understood from this in both of them, both in the Gemara, there is a lesson in the service of the Eibishter. These are 2 levels and types of service. In other words, they are not mutually exclusive. There's no arguments over here. There's just different types of avodas represented by these different occurrences and events. And the Rebbe goes back to Mamorim that the Rebbe said in that year earlier. Mamorim is similar to what's explained in Mamorim preceding this Maimer. And many things similar to this. How to come? Why is it that we find many explanations on one topic, Since there are many different levels and types of the service of the Eibishter, therefore we're going to find the same topic explained differently because each explanation reflects another inner truth, another inner direction and directive in service of the Eibishter. So the Rebbe says over here as well, these two separate situations, which both occurred by Matan Torah, the Rebbe said, but they are here to Malachim, and it's Hashem placing the crowns, and here it's the Malachim made it, and here it's the Bnei Medina made it. All of them have distinct and unique lessons in the Avodas Hashem. But Inyan, who top of the second page of the Maimer, idea behind this is the Nibachlos are hefresh in the general difference. Beina Inyan Kvishu b'Gemara ve'Inyan Kvishu b'Medrash, between the idea, the way it's explained in the Gemara, that the Malachim came down when they said Nasa v'Nishma, and the idea, the way it's in the Medrash, that they made 3 crowns by saying Kaddish, Kaddish. As we said before, the binding of the crowns to the heads of the Yidden took place through the Malachim. Like explained to the Mamorim, though in general, everything that needs to be accomplished, the Seder Ishtalshlus and drawing down godliness in this world, this is all up to us. Malachim can't do it, Olamas can't do it, Spheres can't do it. It's ultimately Yidden are responsible for it. But even though Yidden are responsible for it, we need the assistance of Malach. Kol Makim, Tzarech li is Habirur V'Azich Chayda Malachim, Lahal is still same Shul Yisrael. There needs to be the refinement and purification of the Malachim to elevate the tefillos of the Yidden. Since the tefillos of the Yidden are said with physical words in the physical world, and we need to elevate it to the spiritual world. So even though it's us that's causing the elevation, but the Malachim are there to help its way up and purify the word so they should be able to become Nichol and Kedush. Lashon Hazor, like the Zohar expressed itself, the Gafif line that the Malachim embrace and hug the words of davening and menashik lahain and kiss it. Shamalachim chapkim menashik mesteves that bilam shezeu inyan atzich tzuach v'chulu. That by doing so, they are polishing our words. They are enabling it to become part of Kiddush. So that is the idea of the Malachim's assistance to the Yidden that we speak about in the Gemara about the Malachim placing crowns on the Yidden's heads. That has to do with the Malachim helping the Yidden's elevation of their level. But I'm not a Medrash, but I'm the Medrash. Agad the Shabbat the Medrash is the Agad part of Torah. Sharoiv, so it's a Torah gnuzes mbak. It is Gersa Kodesh, but the majority of the secrets of Torah are hidden in Agad, like the Alter Rebbe says, the Gersa Kodesh. So therefore, since it's the Medrash, it's the more pnimius part of Torah. Therefore, Meduber Madregen al Yoser, speaking about a higher level than the Gemara. That the coronation of the Yidden with the crowns is done through Hashem Himself. The Father placed it at on the heads of His children. Add to such a degree, is there such a big gap and this the difference between what the Gemara is talking about, what the Medrash talks about, until in comparison to the 2 crowns that Hashem personally gives. So the crowns that the Malachim give, they are like a candle in the noonday sun that has no significance, it doesn't do anything, doesn't add anything. The same thing, the crowns of the Malachim are insignificant to the crowns that the Eibishter places. Just like it's in the coronation, that there is the lower level of the coronation, where the Malachim do it in the Gemara, and Hashem does it in the Medrash. So so too, it's also in the actual manufacture and making of these crowns. The Gemara, in the Gemara, where it speaks about the Malachim coming down and tying 2 crowns on the Yidden's head when they said Nasa before Nishma, it comes out that there's a crown store over there in Gan Eden, and the Malachim came and took those crowns. The coronation of the crowns is through the Malachim, and the place and the level of a Malach is not on the earth, but it's in the heavens. So if the Malachim were the ones that brought the crowns to the Yidden. So therefore, it means that the crowns originated in Shemayim. The Roim, from this we see that the source of the crowns are above. As opposed to the Medrash, it's explicit that the initial making of the crowns is through the countrymen. So who are the countrymen? So the Rebbe says an interesting explanation. We would think, since it says that in the Nimshal speaks about the Malachim saying 3 times Kaddish, so we might have thought that in the Mashal, where it says that the Bnei Hamadina made 3 crowns for the king, it's talking about the Malachim. So the Rebbe says, no, not necessarily. The Bnei Hamadina's, the Rebbe says, the Yeshloimar Shakavana B'Zei Yisrael. We can say that the intention where it says that in the Mashal, that the Bnei Hamadina made 3 crowns for the king, it's talking about the Yid. Like it's brought down those Mamorim that we referenced to earlier. The main making of the crowns is through the Yid. Now you do it like the well-known expression that the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, all revelations are through our actions and service specifically. In other words, the Malachim cannot do anything of their own, like we were also saying before. All Amshachas and all revelations have to come through the Yidden. So even though the Malachim might be saying 3 times Kaddish, but that itself is dependent on us. In a simple sense, we could say it's known that the Malachim cannot say Shira above until we say Shira down here below. So that means that really it all starts with us. Therefore, it's only in the capability of Yid to make such crowns that are not only for Yid and Bnei Adam, for human beings. In other words, what happens with these 3 crowns? 2 of them are placed on us. Okay, you're going to make crowns for people, for Yidden, who are on a very high level. We want to have the Yidden to make. But also, we see that crowns for Yidden can also be made by Malachim. But here we're talking about also a crown that's made for Hashem. One of the crowns is being made for Hashem. This is the great power that the Yid has, that the Yid can make a crown for the Eibush. And the novelty of it is, even being in this low world, that there's no world lower than it. Specifically down here, we make a crown for the Eibush. This is hinted in the fact that the Yidden are called the countrymen, the people of the country. Instead of calling them, like later he says, he refers to them as his children. So he starts off with calling them countrymen, and then he calls them his children. What is that idea? That's trying to emphasize that we're in the world. That's why we're called Bnei Hamadina. Because their relationship to the Eibishter, the way they're in the world, they are kaviyachol only like citizens, like members of the country. They're not on the level of children of the king. They're not even the level of servants of the king. Alf became still null, even while being the countrymen. They carnate the because in the truth of the matter, the entire being and existence of the countrymen is dependent on the existence of the king. Like the Rambam rules that the king is the heart of the entire congregation of Yisrael. So therefore, because the Yidden and Hashem are truly one, even while being down here in the body, even while being only countrymen, not servants, not children, they can make a crown that even Hashem himself adorns himself with. But the Rebbe asks, very simple question. When was Nasa before Nishma? I said it was, Yidden said Nasa before Nishma, they said on the 5th of Sivan. 5th of Sivan, we seemingly didn't have yet that connection that Matan Torah accomplished. Yet we need to understand, what's spoken about over here is still prior to Matan Torah. Then it was at its full force, the decree that those above should not ascend below and those below should not ascend above. How did the members of the country In other words, the Yidden down here that are the level of Tachtoinim, how are they able to make a crown? Even for the king, that's a level of Al Shloim Rabbi Yeruza, we can say the explanation this is the Avsham Meduber Kanu Lifnei Matan Torah, though what's speaking about over here is prior to Matan Torah. Bechol is still in all Bechol Echad Vechem Yisrael Yeshna Neshama Shichelik Kamem Mal Mamish. In every single Yid, there's a part of the Neshama that's a part of the Eibishter above Mamish. Ukemayim, like the Chazal says, we say in davening, Neshama Shenasata Bi. It's the Neshama that you placed in me. The way the neshama comes down is a way that you gave it. What's the significance of giving? Chazal said, whoever gives with a good eye. He doesn't give stingily. He doesn't calculate. A person that's selling you something or a person that's forced to give you something will count out exactly what he's supposed to give you and give you that. But a gift, you don't go ahead and start, calculating exactly this amount. So in the case where we say that the Eibishter placed the neshama within us, since it's a gift, so the way the Eibishter gives it, he gives it in his full manner of giving. Loimer, this means to say, top of page 3, Shehu Yizbarach Dasnas Atzmik of Yochban Neshama, that the Eibishter gave himself, metaphorically speaking, in the neshama. This means the noise was that in addition to the fact that we know that through learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, it says that you are grabbing hold of the Eibishter. So that's what we do. It's not who we are, just from that, Maimer Chazal, but from what it says, Neshama Shenasata Bi, it's a deeper thing. It's not what we do, it's who we are. In Yisayim is even more so. The Eibishter gave himself, metaphorically speaking, into the neshama. We're also very exact to say the neshama that you placed in me. In me means internalized. All of this comes internalized. It's not transcendent. It's not makif. It's not beyond me. This neshama, that's a part of the Eibishter above. That's the inspiration from above. And that empowers us. Still already prior to Matan Torah on the 5th of Sivan. Is only as a preparation for Matan Torah. They'll have the capability to make 3 crowns, including even the crown of the king, because they have the Chelik El Kamem Al Mamish. So now the Rebbe is going to explain this in our avoid. According to all the above, will be understood the 2 types of ways of serving the Eibishter. The one indicated by the 2 crowns of Nasa before Nishma, the Malachim placed on the Yidden's head, versus the 3 crowns that the Yidden make, that's placed one of them on the Eibishter's head. There are times when a person is in a state and situation where he's doing things that every Yid is equally obligated and equally appropriate for them, etc. That's the level that has to do with the revealed part of Torah. In other words, there's no difference. All Yidden have to do the mitzvahs. Doesn't make a difference. A great Talmud Chacham, a bar mitzvah kid, they both put on tefillin. There's no difference. From this perspective, in the avodah, so there we say we will do before we'll hear, because hearing and understanding has to do with I understand more, you understand less. Doing before hearing is where we are all equal, all the same. The idea of doing before hearing is something that's the same for all. It's an explicit pasuk in the written Torah that all admit to it, meaning even those that deny Torah Shabbat Peh. Everything that Hashem spoke, we will do and we will hear. It's identical to the fact that we say Shema Yisrael before we say V'hayim Shemaya. The Chazal say, why do we say Shema before V'hayim Shemaya? First, a person should accept upon himself the yoke of the kingdom of heaven. That's what he's proclaiming by saying Shema Yisrael. And then he accepts upon himself the yoke of the mitzvahs. That's V'hayim Shemaya Tishma. The Inyan HaMitzvah is kosher, mischalkes, lepratim, avono v'asagim. The idea of mitzvahs is connected with dividing into details and understanding, comprehension. Like it says that the mitzvahs were given to refine the creatures. In other words, every person takes from the mitzvah their refinement they need. It's not just enough fulfillment of the mitzvahs, there has to be the yoke of the mitzvah. What is the yoke? In a Kabbalah's oil, the idea of the acceptance of yoke of the mitzvahs, that's the foundation of the service and its core and primary level and its root. This acceptance of the yoke of the mitzvahs, this Kabbalah's oil, this that it's equal by all the nasa before Nishma needs assistance from above. Through the malachim that they are representatives and messengers of Hashem. That's why the malach is called by the name Havaya, that it's I am Hashem, I am Havaya that's speaking to you. How does the malach call himself Havaya? Like it's brought down in Tanya and in many places. Why is he called by the name Havaya? Because he's the true messenger, that he's identical to the one who sent him, the Eibishter. And therefore, he's able to assist the Yid to be able to come to this level of Kabbalah soil. The mitzvahs are also shluchim of Hashem. Say, give honor and respect to my mitzvahs because they are my representatives. Then the Rebbe adds parenthetically, to note, this idea of honoring the mitzvahs. He said, the name Tanchuma, who it's named after, the person it's named after, the word Tanchuma means from the word comfort and consolation for the exile. Until the ultimate comfort, which is a double comfort, that's similar to the idea of the double strength that's to be found in Torah. But this is entirely parenthetical. This, the content of the level of Ida in the majority of times, that everybody is equal in the level of Kabbalah's oil, and that's what the Chazal were talking about, that when the Yidden said Nasa before Nishma, it's something that's applicable to all in all times. This is like the flat, basic foundation of everything. By going up in his avodah from one level to another level, and akal covered from the easier to the more difficult. A person who rises up to a level even higher than the Nasa before Nishma. That's what's speaking about in the Medrash, about the crowns that the Bnei Amedina made through the recitation of Kaddish, that the Yidden are the ones that make the three crowns themselves until they're so worthy. That too, these crowns the king will place on his head. One he will place on his head and two on his head of his children. My son, my firstborn Yidden, your children, Tashem your God. Why does it change? In the beginning, the Yidden are called just the countrymen, and then they're called the Eibishter's children. Because this idea that Eden are Hashem's children comes down and manifests also in the Eden while they're being their countrymen, meaning the Neshamas begufin, like we said before, souls in physical bodies down here. Also while being souls in physical bodies are called his children. Because we were chosen, because you chose us from every nation. But Tanya, like the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, that the idea of choice that the Eibishter chose us is not in the neshama. The neshama, the goyim don't have. It's not possible to say choosing, but the choosing has to be in the physical body. And the physical body, how could it be choice? Because our physical body looks in its physical state like the bodies of the nations of the world. Do the level of this avoid in the not only does the person rise up from his level to make a crown for the Eibishter, and he's worthy that the Eibishter place two crowns on his head. In addition to that, also in the material state of every single Yid is revealed the power of the Eibishter. And the glory of the Eibishter will become revealed, and all flesh will see. that she's gal in zeh. How they move in the pashut. She'az gamma go for gash with the Yisrael, but I'm a klal go for yom azoylam. When the koyach hapoil benifel becomes revealed, it's understood and obvious that even the physical body will not be similar at all, even though externally it seems that way, but it won't be any more seen as being similar to the bodies of nations of the world. Especially according to what's explained in many places. In the future, the soul will be sustained by the body. That it doesn't leave its simple sense. If the soul would be sustained by the body, obviously the body of the Yid will be different than the bodies of the Goy. The Rebbe concludes with the bracha of Yiratzon be the will of Hashem. Dibur ben Yonim Elu, that's speaking about these matters, boiking these oneness, but the B'Arav in such a way of thinking into the words of the Rebbe. In a way that looking at the letters make the person wise. And when you give to a wise person, he has to add to the wisdom by analyzing and so on. This will speed up all the above mentioned matters. Behind this means this will add a great success in the service of prefacing Nasa before Nishma. On every single moment of the fifth of Sivan. We add an increase in the avoid of Nasa before Nishma and call it with all the results of it. And we arrive immediately after that to receive the Torah with joy and internalize by Lifnez, even prior to that. The Kabbalah Torah, the loss of love that we will arrive at receiving the Torah of Mashiach's time. Then all will know me from their most minor to the greatest. And all these matters, he didn't delay them even like an eye blink. Any questions?